What is happening, tech fans, and welcome back to Qualcomm Pulse. The news cycle never sleeps, and neither do we, bringing you the absolute latest, the most critical updates that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Get ready to have your minds blown because today, we're diving headfirst into a whirlwind of groundbreaking developments that are reshaping industries and redefining what's possible. From major government plays in the tech giants to cutting-edge innovations that promise to change our daily lives, this is the pulse of progress, and you're right here with us. Strap in, because it's about to get intense. First up, a seismic shift in the semiconductor world as a tech titan faces a monumental decision with national implications. We're talking about a strategic move that could alter the global tech landscape forever. Then, we're pulling back the curtain on a legal maneuver that's raising eyebrows and sparking debate, questioning the very foundations of how deals are made in the high-stakes arena of global business. You won't want to miss this deep dive. After that, get ready for a look into the future of AI and robotics as a major player unveils a new platform set to power the next generation of intelligent machines. This is innovation at its finest. And finally, we're dissecting a high-profile executive's bold stance against a tech giant, a move that could send shockwaves through the industry. Stay locked in, because these are the stories that matter. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. A strategic stake, a tech giant's government deal. This development marks a significant moment in the intersection of government and the private sector in the tech industry. The U.S. government has taken a substantial stake in Intel, a move that could redefine the landscape of semiconductor manufacturing and national security. This isn't just a financial transaction. It's a strategic partnership with potentially far-reaching implications for how critical technologies are developed and secured within the United States. The core of this agreement involves the U.S. government acquiring a 10% equity stake in Intel, making it the company's largest investor. This stake is a direct result of Intel receiving over $7.8 billion in federal funding under the CHIPS Act and an additional $3.2 billion in grants for the Secure Enclave initiative. The latter program involves Intel utilizing its fabrication plants to produce chips specifically for the U.S. Defense Department, highlighting the national security aspect of this collaboration. While the government will not receive a board seat, it is slated to vote with the company's board on matters requiring shareholder approval, with limited exceptions. These exceptions are crucial, as they allow the Commerce Department to vote against business moves that might hinder Intel's ability to meet the terms of the government's investment. Furthermore, a clause in the deal permits the government to increase its stake by an additional 5% within 5 years, contingent on Intel selling a majority stake in its fab business. Intel itself has voiced concerns about the potential repercussions of this deal, cautioning in a regulatory filing about adverse reactions from its global customer base, suppliers, and other business partners. Given that over 3/4 of Intel's revenue comes from international customers, and its supply chain involves numerous global chip-making equipment manufacturers, these concerns are significant. The company also pointed to potential litigation, citing reports that the CHIPS Act might not permit the White House to take equity stakes in chipmakers receiving federal funding, which could lead to legal complications. Intel's filing ominously stated that any of these factors could materially and adversely affect its revenue, operations, financial position, competitiveness, and prospects. The funds received are earmarked for expanding Intel's domestic manufacturing capacity, with new fabrication plants planned in Arizona and Ohio, alongside upgrades to existing facilities, a massive multi-year project costing over $100 billion. This strategic investment by the U.S. government aims to bolster domestic chip production, a critical component in reducing reliance on foreign supply chains and enhancing national technological independence. The move positions the U.S. government as a key stakeholder, potentially influencing the future direction of one of the world's leading chip manufacturers. The ramifications of this unprecedented partnership will undoubtedly be closely watched by the global tech community and governments worldwide. Now, as we navigate these monumental shifts in the semiconductor industry, a complex legal entanglement emerges, raising questions about ethics and influence in high-stakes negotiations. A question of counsel, the Skadden-Intel-Trump connection. This situation delves into the intricate web of legal representation and potential conflicts of interest, particularly when a major corporation engages a law firm with recent, significant financial entanglements with a political administration. Intel, in its monumental deal to provide the U.S. government with a roughly 10% ownership stake in exchange for CHIPS Act funding, turned to the law firm Skadden. This choice of counsel has drawn considerable attention due to Skadden's recent settlement of a high-profile legal challenge, reportedly involving a $100 million payment to settle claims related to its business practices. The timing and nature of this engagement raise pointed questions about professional responsibility and the perception of impartiality. While Intel is a sophisticated entity capable of waiving conflicts, the underlying issue extends beyond just client consent to the broader public trust in the legal profession. The narrative suggests a scenario where a powerful administration, akin to a threat of potential adverse actions, could leverage such past settlements to influence corporate decisions. Intel, needing counsel for a deal with the federal government, sought advice from a firm that had recently made substantial concessions to that same administration. This has led to commentary that Intel may have been influenced by the goodwill Skadden had cultivated through its settlement, rather than solely by the firm's legal expertise. The argument is made that such arrangements, even if technically permissible through client waivers, can normalize a form of corruption, eroding public faith in the legal system. The ethical guidelines, it's argued, should not only protect clients from being misled, but also prevent smart clients from engaging in practices that appear to legitimize questionable relationships. The situation highlights a broader debate about whether legal ethics should proactively prevent the appearance of impropriety, especially when significant public funds and national interests are at stake. The involvement of Skadden, a firm with deep ties and recent financial dealings with the administration, in advising Intel on a deal with that same administration, creates a perception that could be detrimental to the integrity of both corporate and legal dealings. This case serves as a stark reminder of the complexities involved when private enterprise and government intersect, particularly concerning legal representation and the potential for undue influence. The core of the concern lies in the possibility that such arrangements, even if legally defensible through waivers, contribute to a broader erosion of public trust in institutions. As the legal and ethical implications of this partnership unfold, a different perspective emerges from within Intel itself, highlighting the company's own assessment of the risks involved. Navigating new territory, Intel's risk assessment of government stake. Following the U.S. government's acquisition of a 10% equity stake in Intel, the chipmaker has officially alerted investors to a range of potential risk factors stemming from this unprecedented arrangement. In a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Intel detailed how having the U.S. government as its largest shareholder could introduce new complexities and potential headwinds for its global operations. A primary concern highlighted by Intel is the potential negative impact on its international business. The filing explicitly states that sales outside the U.S. accounted for 76% of the company's revenue for the fiscal year ended December 28, 2024. Consequently, the presence of the U.S. government as a significant shareholder could subject Intel to additional regulations, obligations, or restrictions, such as foreign subsidy laws or otherwise, in other countries. This could complicate its relationships with international partners and potentially lead to scrutiny from foreign governments. Beyond international ramifications, Intel also identified the dilutive impact of the transaction on existing shareholders as a risk factor. Furthermore, the deal could lead to a reduction in the voting influence of other shareholders concerning critical decisions, including the selection of company directors. The agreement itself involves the conversion of approximately $8.9 billion in grants, provided under the CHIPS and Science Act and the Secure Enclave Program, into a 9.9% equity stake for the U.S. government. While the government has agreed not to seek board representation and to vote its shares in alignment with the board's recommendations, exceptions to this voting alignment do exist. Notably, the U.S. acquired these shares at a discount to Intel's closing stock price on the day of the deal. Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan expressed a positive outlook, stating his anticipation of the U.S. government being a shareholder. However, the Trump administration, which championed the deal, views it as a potential model for future government investments in American companies. National Economic Council head Kevin Hassett indicated that other companies in the semiconductor sector are being considered for similar arrangements. This approach has drawn cautious commentary from some business leaders and analysts. For instance, former Medtronic CEO Bill George noted a significant shift towards a state-engaged economy, a departure from traditional capitalistic models. Concerns have also been raised about the potential for nationalized or partially nationalized companies to underperform due to restrictions on market-based strategic decisions. Intel's filing acknowledges this uncharted territory, stating that the scarcity of similar U.S. precedents makes it difficult to fully foresee all potential consequences, including adverse reactions from a wide array of stakeholders. While Intel is publicly assessing these risks, former President Trump is directly addressing critics, asserting the value and benefits of his administration's assertive approach to such strategic economic deals. Trump defends Intel deal, a bold stance against critics. Former President Donald Trump has forcefully responded to criticisms leveled against his administration's substantial agreement with Intel, a deal that grants the U.S. government a significant equity stake in the semiconductor giant. In a direct message posted on Truth Social, Trump addressed what he termed stupid critics, asserting his administration paid zero for Intel, while simultaneously highlighting the deal's valuation at approximately $11 billion, all of which he claims goes to the USA. This statement, however, contrasts with official joint press releases indicating the U.S. government's pledge of nearly $9 billion in investment into Intel. Trump framed the transaction as a highly beneficial arrangement for the nation, emphasizing his commitment to making similar deals to strengthen the American economy and create jobs. He expressed enthusiasm for seeing the stock prices of companies making such deals rise, thereby increasing national wealth and employment opportunities. The agreement itself, as outlined in a joint release, stipulates that the government's investment will not include board representation or specific governance rights. The government has committed to voting its shares in accordance with the board's recommendations, with limited exceptions. Trump initially announced the Intel deal via a separate Truth Social post, declaring it his great honor to report that the United States of America now fully owns and controls 10% of Intel. This announcement followed a period where Trump had publicly called for Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan's resignation due to alleged ties to China, adding a layer of complexity to the subsequent partnership. The Intel deal is also situated within the broader context of the U.S. competition with China for dominance in the artificial intelligence industry. However, the agreement has not been without its detractors, even within the Republican Party. Senator Rand Paul, for instance, characterized the deal as a step toward socialism, questioning whether government ownership in a private company constitutes a move in that direction. Similarly, Kevin O'Leary, known from Shark Tank and a Trump supporter, voiced strong opposition on CNBC's Squawk Box, expressing his abhorrence for the idea. O'Leary argued that the government should remain separate from the private sector, which he believes is the foundation of America's success. He even went as far as to describe Intel as dead old, and suggested it should have been sold for scrap years prior. Despite these criticisms, Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan lauded the agreement, stating in a press release that President Trump's focus on U.S. chip manufacturing is driving historic investments, and expressed gratitude for the administration's confidence. As these significant government-corporate partnerships continue to unfold, the critical role of specialized technology in driving innovation takes center stage. And that's a wrap on today's pulse-bounding tech update. We saw the U.S. government take a major stake in Intel, sparking debate about national investment. Then, we uncovered the legal maneuvering behind the scenes with Skadden's involvement. Next, Intel itself warned of the risks associated with this new government partnership. Finally, Trump fired back, defending his administration's landmark Intel deal against critics. Don't miss out on what's next. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, drop a comment below, and follow us on all our social channels for even more exclusive content.